Hey, hello, howdy, how you doing? Welcome back to another Project Zomboid video. Last episode saw us spawning in Riverside, looting a warehouse, finding a truck, and hitting up a military surplus store to increase our chances of survival. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done if we're going to have a shot at surviving long term after the power goes out, but the big issue still remains that we'll need some serious firepower if we're going to survive in any city. With the gear we have now, we might be able to make a dent in Riverside, but the payout would need to be worth it for essentially burning through our entire stockpile. In an effort to coordinate my raid, I targeted 3 primary locations. Number 1, the school. This may seem silly at first, but we need a generator magazine, and the best place to find one would be in the school or the bookstore. If we can't find one here, we'll have the bookstore as a fallback option, or I can risk going door to door and hoping I get lucky. Either way, I should be able to find a generator mag from those options. Number 2, the hardware store. Here is where I'll find seeds to begin planting a garden, along with some additional tools and potentially a sledgehammer. That brings us to our third objective, the VHS store. An obvious target, it would allow us to grind out a ton of skill levels early on with minimal effort. At some point, I'm also going to either have to find a new vehicle or fix up the truck, since the engine is failing and the truck is completely destroyed. My plan for this is to quite simply sacrifice some ammo early on to clear out the most zombies hanging around the warehouses we visited last video. This should give us a ton of cars to work with to power level mechanics, while also freeing us up to loot the entirety of both warehouses. It should include a ton of metal sheets that we can use to fix up the truck as well. We'll circle back to this later, but for now, my focus is on Riverside. Beginning with the Riverside raid, I grabbed a rune skimmy, the Colt Python, and the M14 along with about 500 rounds of ammo and set out for Riverside, targeting the library first. Getting there wasn't much of an issue. I parked the truck by the bar to have a clean getaway, but with the engine in rough shape, I didn't want to risk the truck dying in the middle of a horde and would much rather take my chances on foot. The school expectedly had a ton of skilling books, but I wasn't able to find a Jenny mag. I'm not really concerned with the skill books at the moment since we're on a time constraint, given every zombie in Riverside knows where I am. On top of that, I want to give as much space open in my inventory for the hardware store. With one POI scratched off, I tried to hit up Enigma books, but really didn't have much of a chance. At this point, there's a few hundred zombies following me, and there's no exit, so even if I managed to get in, I'd effectively be cornering myself. At this point, I realized I had completely underestimated just how many zombies are in Riverside. With the sheer amount in the area, and given I'm ridiculously tired, I don't see a way that I'm getting in and out alive. With that, it was getting late and I was tired, so I changed focus to the hardware store. I'm not sure what I was hoping to accomplish though, since the hardware store also doesn't have a backdoor exit, meaning I'd just be in the same position as the bookstore if I tried anything. Moving on to the VHS store gave me the same exact issues. I thought about lighting up the streets, but I'm exhausted and exerted. After phasing through some zombies, I had no other option but to retreat to my truck. With the raid a complete failure, I don't think going in silent is the play. This really just solidified that the only way into any city is going to require some serious firepower. Instead of heading back in on the 15th, I focused on the warehouse near the gas station. I have a welder's mask, but I'll need a propane torch, which I can likely find in said warehouse. I started out with the M14 because you can hit collaterals with it. Once I burned through all of my M14 rounds, I switched over to the Python and began slowly picking off zombies. An incredibly slow process, but much safer than swinging the skimmy around. After burning through almost 500 rounds of ammunition, there were only a couple dozen zombies left, and I felt confident enough to take them out with my sword. I finished up at around 10 o'clock that night and spent a good 2 hours or so just checking the corpses for a specific zombie. There was one in the pile of corpses that was carrying a sledgehammer on them that I was determined to find, though it was incredibly dark out and I couldn't see all that well. After searching for a few hours, I just changed focus to begin looting the warehouse during the night. While searching through crates, a group of zombies broke down a door, forcing me to change focus onto them. I'm not sure how they got stuck here, and I didn't just path over to me with all the pings, but hey, it is what it is. Once the sun came up, I found the corpse I was looking for. The name is from a Rainbow Six Siege character. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I also don't really care because I have a life that doesn't involve me playing off-brand search and destroy. To repair the truck, I'll need at least mechanics level 2, and to be honest, I may be better off just grinding electrical and mechanics to unlock the ability to hotwire cars. While checking out the cars in the parking lot, I unlocked the trunks of both manufacturing vans to find 4 propane tanks. The goal is to come back and grab both of these along with the trailer in the parking lot, but I need to grind some skills before we get to that point. Made it back to base that afternoon, and after dumping off my loot, spent the rest of the day reading Mechanics Volume 1. I'll need to find Electrical Volume 1, so I may need to head back into Riverside to hit up the school or the bookstore, but other than that, I should be able to hotwire within the next few days or so. I returned to Riverside on the 17th, making it to school early in the afternoon. Not that it matters all that much, but the first heli event triggered, pulling in zombies in conjunction with the continuous pings. Unfortunately for me, the school had like 20 electrical volume 2s, but no volume 1s for some reason. While trying to leave, I tripped over a few zombies, scraping my shin in the process. Funny enough, the house literally right across the street had Electrical 1 in it, which was kind of a giant f*** you, but at least we have it now. With both skill books under my belt, I spent the first half of the day reading Electrical Volume 1 and then disassembling all of my gear to get me just over halfway to level 1. I'm going to need a lot more watches at this point. Since I wanted to give myself a full day to heal up, I chose to hang around at the warehouse reading skill books to kill some time. I woke up the next morning fully healed and ready to get to work. First things first, I set off for the warehouses to see what all I could get done in terms of skill grinding. Obviously, we have to make sure the area is safe before that though. This probably wasn't the most efficient plan by any means, since I spent several hours just roaming around the warehouses looking for anything to disassemble. Luckily, I was able to hit electrical level 1 by about 6 o'clock that night and was able to change focus to mechanics. There's no shortage of cars to choose from, so I just picked the most beat up one in the parking lot and got to work on it. One of the best aspects of this mod is the fact that any zombie within 150 tiles would already be here, which means when no one shows up to the party, I'm able to take a nap in the truck. Of course, I say this and then get hit with a dose of instant karma, since this actually almost got me killed, as the sole zombie in the area that I could hear shambling around outside found the doors. Luckily, it was just a vegan zombie, so I was able to wake up, swap over to the passenger seat, and hop out completely untouched. After a day of grinding, I was able to hit Mechanics level 2, unlocking the ability to hotwire vehicles. With this newfound power, I hotwired the other truck in the parking lot, along with both of those manufacturing vans. After refueling both vans, I hopped in one and towed the other back to the base, with plans to head back later for the truck. This took forever, since upshifting out of first gear for some reason causes the van to lose all semblance of power. Another issue with going 15 miles an hour is that I'm not able to move over 150 tiles away within 10 minutes. So I'm actually continuously pulling all of those zombies into the middle of the road. By the time I made it to base, I decided it was worth heading back down the road to take on the zombies making their way towards me. At this point, I felt confident enough to head back to base for the night. While organizing my loot, one of Jigsaw's victims came wandering over. This is easily one of the coolest outfits in Authentic Z, and my first time seeing this specific one. After killing the zombie, I found out that you can also impale yourself with the same spikes whenever you feel like ending it all. The spikes were a little much, but I did keep the helmet to remind the zombies that I am in fact an edgelord. The next morning I set off for Riverside, equipped with a shotgun, an M19, and 500 rounds of ammunition, along with a rune skimmy and 2 club hammers. I threw a sledgehammer in the trunk as well, just in case. When I got to the police station, I found it strangely deserted, though it didn't take long for zombies to start wandering over. My plan originally was to kill the stragglers early and then use the sledgehammer to break down the main door to the armory. After fighting through some of the zombies with melee, I remembered that gun audio didn't really matter since the zombies would be pinged anyway, so this was going strangely way better than expected. Eventually I was able to break down the armory door and make an initial looting run, hauling in a Spaz 12, an AK-47, and some ammo. Never thought I'd see an AK-47 in a small town police station armory, but I guess Kentucky abides by the age-old adage of go around and find out. After looting the armory, I spent a good amount of time just clearing out the remaining zombies before setting off for my next objective. And if you're wondering where all the zombies had wandered off to, well, apparently they were all too busy waiting for the midnight release of Pluto Nash. Obviously, they needed to be taken care of as well, so I got to work. Luckily for me, most of the zombies within 150 tiles were already here, so I really just had to work through the group hanging around and didn't really have to worry about any rogue groups wandering over. This worked out in a similar manner as the military surplus store, with me just kiting around zombies and popping them with a shotgun until I ran out of ammo, which in turn would then switch to the M19. When it was all said and done, I managed to burn through all of my shotgun shells and close to 300 rounds of 45 ACP before finally setting foot inside the VHS store. All of this just to claim my free copy of Space Jam. After looting the VHS store for anything of value, I made an attempt to head back to the school. This resulted in a very quick turnaround after I drove directly into a group of around 50 zombies. Normally this isn't all that many, but given that I'm running dangerously low on ammo, while also ridiculously tired, is a recipe for disaster. So I turned around and headed back to the warehouse for the night. At this point, all I need is a generator knowledge magazine and we'll be all set. With that being said, I think this is a great place to stop for now. So far, I've racked up just under 1,200 kills in 14 days. Here's what my skills look like for those who care about that. Next episode, we'll see us heading to Ekron and a second mystery location to continue our escapade. Thank you to all my YouTube members and Patreon supporters. Without you, this series wouldn't be possible. I appreciate you all. And as always, thanks for stopping by.